as a parent, there's certain things that you sacrifice and you do so that your children don't feel the impact of what you have to go through and do, because they're very empathetic. Is that the right word? And you just don't want them to see you in a certain kind of space or in not feeling good. So it was very rough, trying to get through that.
What's up, y'all? It's Ashley.
It's Melody.
And Cody here. And you've tapped into
The Mama's Den.
Welcome to the Mama's Den podcast. Yes. That's Ashley. Welcome back. I am Cody Elaine Oliver. I am a mama of 3 boys, Aristotle and Langston, who are twins, and Brooks, my 9-year-old.
I am Ashley Chia. I am a mama of 4.
Damn.
Okay.
Sorry. It's for nostalgic purposes.
Okay, fine. I have Amira, who is 17.
That's crazy.
She's 17. And I have...
Let her be 16 for another
God,
couple
you
weeks.
look almost 17.
Girl.
She does. Goodness. Okay.
She is 41. Thank you. I have Azara, who is 9. Asia is 8. And Natalia is 4 years old.
Wow.
4 girls.
Wow, you are it all out there,
Girl,
child.
I was
Busy with these girls. That's how I got here. I'm Melanie Fiona. I have 2 children, just 2. A son, Cameron, who's 9, almost 10, and Kaya, who is 4, going on 87.
87. Okay,
definitely.
And y'all, if you're watching us on YouTube, you already know we have a guest. We're going to jump right into it. So, Donna Jordan. I'm gonna read it because I want to get everything right.
Go ahead, girl.
Donna Jordan is a devoted mother, artist, proud grandmother, and guiding force behind a very close-knit family. As the mother of actor and producer Michael B. Jordan and my homies Jamila and Khalid,
Shout out to Jamila.
Donna has long been a steady source of love, strength, and support. As a mom of 3 and grandmother of 2, she embodies grace, resilience, and deep commitment it takes to nurture both family and legacy. Very strong pro-Black family over here celebrating Kwanzaa.
Yes.
Her dedication to raising confident, grounded children continues to inspire us and those who value the power of home, motherhood, and community.
That was so beautiful.
We do what we
Thank you
can.
so much.
That's your life.
Oh my!
Yes,
thanks
that's
for
you.
having me. Thank you. You don't put your life in that nice, cute little neat package like that often, So that was very beautiful and rewarding to hear. Thank you.
That's what we want you to feel, because you are such an inspiration to us. Just knowing, first off, raising these 3 amazing adult children. Mm-hmm. Like, how old is everybody? If they'll let you say, what's the range?
Let's see. Well, probably 41, 38. There we go. Yeah. And 32.
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't realize Khalid was 32.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 6 years between him and Mike.
Wow. Okay. And so for you, hold on, I want to make sure I get all the things right. Okay. So what was the hardest part? Talk about where you guys are from. I think you raised them in New Jersey.
Raised them in New Jersey. Jamila and Mike were born in California.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then we traveled to New Jersey, when they were about 3 and 4.
Okay.
And New Jersey is my home. Mm-hmm. And so they had most of their childhood there. So, it was quite an amazing experience for me to have them here in California, but yet go back east, because I knew that the community that I came from was just a little bit different than it was on the West Coast. My mother was there, my sister, my whole family was there, so I had that level of nurturing going on. And there's a lot of things that you don't teach your children that I knew they were going to get the old school stuff from home. Was
it a difficult decision to move back?
It wasn't really. I just knew that the main thing was that I did want them to be raised around my mother and that sort of thing. So it made sense to me it wasn't really hard at that point in time, because I wanted that family bond going on. And out here it's difficult because, from those 3 years that I was out here, it was just very difficult raising them on your own. You know, you have to go to work and you're crying every day because you're dropping your kids off at daycare and that sort of thing. And you're worried about, you don't know these people. And it's like, oh my God, I got to drop my kids off. I hope you're okay. So it was worth it to make that move. So
I just recently moved to New Jersey with my family.
Really?
Yeah, after 10 years in California.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not from Jersey. Neither is my husband.
Right.
But we're East Coast. We met when I was living in New York, same as him. I'm from Toronto originally.
Okay.
And we felt like the East Coast was calling us back, and we felt like we had a different level of support. Our parents are based on the East Coast, and we wanted to have this experience, you know. So the kids are experiencing a winter right now for the first time.
Oh,
It's very
real
different.
that's a whole thing.
But they're enjoying it. So I love that you. It was just kind of like confirmation, like, oh, you know, as a mom, sometimes you got to do hard things for what you feel is beneficial for your family and best for your children and how you want to raise your children.
100.
And so I feel what you're saying. I'm resonating.
No,
a lot.
and it's also sort of, I'll say the cadence that you have on the East Coast. You know, there is a grit, there is a grind,
Yes.
there is that aspect of it that you want them to have.
100%.
So once everyone moved back to California, I knew that they were, you know, empowered with
foundation.
what they needed. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And it's proof of the pudding. You know what I'm saying? People see that. They see the get up and go. They see the advancement of how they think and how they move. So I think it was a really good decision.
Good
You know
job,
what I
Mom.
mean?
Did
Thank
everyone
you.
move back to the West Coast when they were adults, or like when did you guys come back to this side of?
Yeah.
I think it was more of, and you also, my family, my grandmother was in Venice, California. So my mother's brothers and sisters were in California. So
Okay.
it was like we were always kind of bi-coastal
Between,
in
yeah.
a way, you know what I mean? But we slowly started moving back when I believe Michael decided to come out first, you know, for his career once, you know.
Was
He
this-
turned 18 and I got
Okay, I was gonna
fired.
say
as, you know,
age-wise.
as momager and everything else.
No, but
No, I'm
no,
just-
but tell us about that, because he's your eldest?
Middle.
No, he's your middle. I'm sorry. And you said at 18,
Right.
he wanted to come out to California.
Right.
And what was that?
Because it was
like?
it made sense because, you know, he started when he was like 11.
Right. Okay.
So during that period of time, I knew from 11 to 18, I understood what the business was about and what he needed. And I knew that at 18, to take things to a different level, that it was just going to be better for him to be in California, to be able to have that, you know, that, I guess that aspect of the industry, because everything, you know, all the agents were here
Access.
and
Yeah.
everything, and you know, exactly. And back then it was the go-sees or the auditions and what have you, you know, was just, it was a different sort of level on the East Coast that I started seeing that it was necessary.
Yeah.
And then I was not willing to come at that time. So then it was trying to navigate how I'm going to feel good and not like a bad parent sending my child out to California and everything. But he had aunts here as
Yeah.
well and uncles. So
This is
there was something
This
happening.
is so crazy because we just talked about this on another episode. First of all, I have to just share some parallels.
Yes.
First thing I told you, my mother's name is Donna.
Right.
Okay, we talked
Yes.
about this. You guys are born in the same year. This
Yes.
is wild. We just talked about this on another episode where, because I'm a singer, and so coming from Toronto, I'm a child of immigrants.
Okay.
The idea of entertainment as a profession was not a reality for my parents.
Right.
You have to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, a teacher. And at some point, my mom and she raised me very, very strict, like
Yes.
on a short leash.
Yes.
So now here I am. I want to pursue music and go to California. And we were just talking about this, how, you know, it didn't make any sense that my mom would say yes for me to go.
Right.
As a young woman in this world by myself, but she did. And because she did, and I had her love and support in that way, I really do attribute that to the reason why I have been able to establish the career that I've had for myself.
Come on, Grammys.
Yes.
And that's why
Yes,
you got
there
your
are
Grammys,
Yes.
girl.
Yes.
You know, and so
Yes.
even as a mother, when you think
Right.
about it, like I think about my mom, probably now that I'm a mother, the anxiousness, the anxiety that you feel like, did I
Yes.
do the right thing? Did I let my child go into this world? And how do I feel about that?
100%.
And then you see what they become and you're like, oh, I did good.
I think I did
made
good.
I made the right choices,
decision.
you know?
Yes,
No,
yes.
Wait,
wow.
I
And then-
want to back up. Can we back up a
No,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
too? Because you said he started at 11. So
Right.
he's 11. You got a 13-year-old at this point, and a whatever 11 minus 6 is. What is that?
I'm not doing that math.
I ain't
11,
either. No.
Okay. No, thank you.
As a mom of 3, I mean, all of us have multiple kids. How are you nurturing the talents and passions and interests of these children, especially without anyone feeling like, why are you doing this for him and not me? And
There's that.
Yeah.
You know, that is never going to go away. I don't
Yeah.
think. Does everyone have the same amount of Cheerios? You know what I'm saying? You
So
know,
that's
36
you
and I got
have
32.
Yes, it's like, okay.
literally,
But
they
it
count.
is I think the way I look at it is just that you have to sort of zoom into each one and sort of kind of pick out what they're gravitating towards. So Jamila was already, I believe, she was like the first one to enter into the entertainment aspect as a journalist, and studying journalism. And the high school that they all went to also was a performing arts school. So they had it like 4 years earlier than most children would get it. So they already had a good grounding of what they were going to do. So the television and communications department in the high school, Jamila was already doing short stories and that sort of thing, and digging into that in that way. So I knew where her path was.
Yeah.
And Michael and Khalid were sort of just a different sort of thing. I think everybody probably ever heard the story where I had I believe she was a manager. Her name is Mrs. Bailey, and she saw that Mike and Khalid were attractive young men. And at that time, that's what the industry were looking for. They were looking for young African-American boys, in the industry. So it was also timing of it. So, Michael could lay on a book and it just, everything absorbs in his head. He was just very, very, into the academic level. He was, on it. So I didn't have a problem with him coming in and out of school. Khalid as well. He was basically the first one. He was in the talent pool at Sesame Street. So he, really was the first one to have a sort of acting career. And so it was easy to nurture each one in that way, until I saw what was really going to stick. At 11, Mike doesn't really know. It's the, okay, can I get back to my basketball game by 3 o'clock? I said, yes, I'll get you back to practice, no problem. And then, it just, the universe sort of took it from there. But nurturing them, watching what they do, what they liked, yes, Khalid did have to come along to a lot of the auditions and what have you at that stage. Jamila was pursuing, she was a little older, so she was able to do, 13 or whatever. She was able to do her thing on her own. But it was just something that you sort of feel from them and in which direction they go. Me being an artist also was a big influence, I believe, in the directions they went, because I also went to this school when it was just music and art. So I also, I was an artist, and I started when I was in 8th grade or what have you, and then it just kind of continued on. So I believe they picked up a lot of the artistic, sort of aspect of being a creative from me, because when you're creative, it's almost everything you do is a bit creative,
Yes.
whether it's just, cooking or what have you. You do it,
Decorate the house.
let's try this spice, let's try this, you know what I mean? And you just sort of, move through that way. So I think it was just a matter of just trying to pick up, like we all do, I'm sure. We see your children and you try to see which ones are a little bit, sometimes they're a little bit more athletic. Someone really is into, cooking or maybe singing or dancing. You just pay attention and you listen and you watch and you find out,
I feel like it can still be really hard, though, to make sure you're giving them that individual attention on the thing. That's where I struggle sometimes. It's like, oh, you love this? Okay, da-da-da. And then the other one's like, wait, what about me? And so I feel like it's hard for me.
It is, and I'm not even
And
saying
she has twins.
And she has,
Yeah.
I know.
So why are you looking at
boy.
them like, are y'all the same people? Please be the same
who's
people so that I can
that?
do one activity.
I know, can't y'all do that
real.
together? But you don't know. You don't know. You know, it is trial and error. You do the best you can, and you don't always get it right. But, you know, you do the best you can. You know, you can't, you know, it's just hard to pick each one, but you know, you pick up on the cues and you go on because you also are working and you are also taking care of the family and that sort of thing. I have a mother who is like next door to me, you know, that I also helped, you know, sort of manage and be a caregiver to her as well. So, you know, it was just, it just sort of melded in the right sort of way. I can't say that there was any specific thing that I did or was able to pick up on. I just was very, you know, fortunate that everything worked the way it did.
Do you have a question?
Yeah,
I'm
no, I was
sorry.
going to say no, you're fine. That's the era that I'm in right now because I have my daughter, my eldest daughter, we moved here I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
So we moved here almost 12 years ago. And we moved here with the intention, my husband was managing a rap group and for her to act. Then we got here, literally like a year later, I got pregnant with my second child. And then like, when she turned 1, I was pregnant with the third child.
Okay.
And then by the time I got over that era, I was pregnant with my 4th child. So now that my daughter, it was like last year, she was like, so didn't we move here so I could act? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I haven't been on one audition. And so now she's in school. She's in high school.
Okay.
And she's been in theater the entire time. But like we had her signed to an agency. But when I got pregnant with her sisters, it was just too much. Like I could not, you know, that is a commitment.
It's a
And,
commitment.
yeah. And they will call you 5 minutes before. They're like, can you come to this? Can you sit in this? Can you do this? And I was like, I felt very overwhelmed. So now I've been... Her sisters, the middles, they danced with Debbie Allen and they came out the womb wanting to dance. And like I was a professional dancer. So that was very easy for me. And I'm like, I can work with them, you know, take them to dance class. I'm locked in. With my eldest, I feel like she kind of took a back seat. So this year I was like, okay, she has 1 year left. She's going to go to college. She wants to go to NYU. Like for theater, this is like her thing, film.
Right.
So now I've been like, I am just focusing on her right now for a little bit. Her sisters are a little younger. And I felt guilty at first because I was like, is it wrong to just like zero in on one child a little bit?
Right.
But I'm like, she's the older one. She's very clear what she wants to do. She's always wanted to be an actress. And I haven't given her that time and dedication that she's deserved.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, I do.
Yeah,
I
'cause
do. I
To your
do.
point, it's hard. But when someone's very clear and she's so hardworking and she's so studious, and I feel this guilt because I'm like, dang, like, where would she be right now if I would have? Do you know what I mean?
I do, but I also think that in that same realm that everything does line up the way it should. You know, we may say that, but because you were placed and the children came and she was where she was and things kind of worked out that way. Maybe things might have been different had you started earlier. Maybe she needed a certain level of leveling out and maturity at a certain point because this industry is not for the faint of heart
Yes.
at all. You know what I'm saying? And you do need to have a little bit of that grit before
Right.
you start hopping in there. When you start going on auditions and different things, and they don't work out quite the way you want to, or
Right.
what have you. And would you have been able to, you know, support her emotions and the things that she was going through with the other two children at the same time?
Right.
You know, so I always think that it sort of happens, and there is no guilt involved because you didn't orchestrate that in that way,
Yes,
and you
this is true.
did what you needed to do at the time you needed to do it. You know,
And you're
I really
listening to
do.
her now.
Yes.
And she
Right.
sees that.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And you have other friends who can take her on audition.
Yes, this is true.
Oh yes.
Yeah, well, no, because I homeschool all of my children. Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes, it is. I believe so.
No, it
yes, and my
is.
mom helps me. To be clear, when my mom be like, "Now I don't know why you be saying you homeschool your kids." 'Cause she primarily does homeschool the middles right now. My oldest goes to a school where she can get her degree at the same time that she's going, like a college degree while she's going to school.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, so but I homeschooled her all the way up too. But we're very like a close knit family, and so for me, I'm very protective of my daughters, and I'm like, you matter more to me than some award or TV show. Like you,
Correct.
to your point, I don't want you entering in this until me or your father can be there with you, protect you. You have the right circle around
right.
you. Like I'm not dropping my baby off at some random director's house. Chill.
Child. not knowing what we know now.
No.
Yes,
She ain't gonna be in no dang documentary. No.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, and it is about the family and the village. Because I'm sure everybody in my family has taken the children to auditions at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't always as kind with the other members of my family. We don't have to go. Mom said, but no, you do need the family support.
It's an emergency out there.
Okay. No, but I really, really honor that level of being a homeschooler, because I have a little thing with education, and I worked in the high school for, quite a few years. And I just know that parents can do so much more, and you can see the advancement of your child or where they're going, and they don't have to wait for the whole class to come along with you. We're not teaching that right now because everyone isn't up to speed or whatever, but the speed of your child. How much you can push them, how much more you can give them. And I just think that, other than the social part, which is a little bit difficult to kind of, you want them to have that too, but I think it's a much better route, even especially now today. I think homeschooling is definitely,
Well, listen, mine is a little more like, I grew up in a very pro-Black environment too. Like my mom did the Nation of Islam, and a lot of people were in our neighborhood. So for us, it was more so now we can't trust the people that are oppressing us to teach us.
Okay.
Still.
Okay.
I know.
Okay. So
I'm
be lying.
I'm with
so
you
are
on that.
Not, you're not lying to my babies.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then have to counter teach.
Yes.
They're learning this in school, and then, but yet I'm telling them, okay, I know you're learning this,
Right.
and you may not, don't tell your teacher what I'm telling you right here, and telling them they wrong, you know what I mean? Everything.
Well, my mama said.
My mama said that. Yes,
That
exactly.
Because that's what they do. They're homeschooling their kids after they come home from school. They got to reteach them and go over with. Now, what did they tell you? So I'm let me just nip it in the bud from the point. Yeah.
Exactly. That was very, very smart. I am really should get all your accolades for that, because it is not easy.
Me and my mama. Let me mention my mom.
A mama for sure.
I have a question, because we love hearing about the kids.
Yes.
But Miss Donna, you have an identity as a
Yes.
woman. You are an artist. You just said, I worked in the high school. I would love to know your world of artistry. What did you study? What are you passionate about? What did you do before you were a mom? What did you continue to do and create while you were a mother? How were you working and creating as a woman?
Oh boy, that's touching my soul.
Yes, and we forget to ask, right?
No, but it is. Been an artist for all my life, in one way or another, whether it was just doing a couple of flowers and everything on the letters that your mom made you write to your uncle and everything every so often, whatever. My mother really nurtured that. My sister, who is 17 years older than I, was like my second mother, so it was like me kind of out there on my own, and they just pushed me wherever they saw, of course, you did the ballet, did the Y and all that other things, but art was something that definitely creativity that stuck me. A visual artist.
Painting,
sketching, sculpture, all the things, the designs on the grocery store, what have you, during the holidays, doing the Santa Clauses and what have you, and the little scapes or whatever. And I've just been very, very fortunate and to be able to pursue my career. Because, of course, when you tell everybody that you're going to be an artist and that sort of thing, the whole, you're going to teach, you know what I mean, or whatever, because no one really understands that there are so many other aspects that you could go into, as being an artist. It's been such a charmed, blessed career as far as being an artist for me. I've seen other people or friends or what have you who were not able to sort of make the connections or have the dots connect in a certain sort of way. But I came out to California, and I met a wonderful artist who we sort of bonded. Her sister and my cousin were roommates, and she was from Paterson, New Jersey. I was from Newark, New Jersey, so we kind of bonded in that way. We were around the same age, and we took on a job at a hand-painted silk company, and we have been friends ever since. So like for 50 years, we're still just as close, if not closer than we were when we first met. So, you really do need to make money with art. So it is a thing where, yes, I did, sell pieces here and there, but I was also able to work at a hand-painted silk company. I was also able to work at a barware company where they designed barware, glasses, and that sort of thing that were also hand painted and designed. I worked at T-shirts where I did color separation, So I was able to actually get jobs where I was able to support and contribute to the household funds, with my art career. So
It's beautiful.
I was really, really very happy with that. And all the people that you meet and all the avenues that you go in, the twists and turns of the artistic world, just has been really, really good for me.
Are you still practicing art, even
Wait,
just for?
before we get there, because I do know your recent art activities, but before we get there, I want to know: did you ever have to sacrifice any of that while you're raising the kids?
Of course, in a way, I sacrificed it. Excuse me, in the way of. Yes, you still have to cook dinner. Yes, you got to get the clothes together. Yes, you got to get the uniforms. Yes, you got to do all the things that you have to do as a wife and mother and what have you. But I still managed to produce art. I went into leather making, so I made pouches, what have you, where I would hand sew them and paint them. And, that seemed to take off pretty well, and cards and just almost everything, So it was a difficult thing, but it kind of worked, Okay, kids, I know this is our living room, but it's getting ready to be the art studio for a little bit, you know what I mean? And you take everything down, you put it in another room, then I'm putting up canvases on the wall or whatever, or they want to eat in the dining room, and all of a sudden you got to move around and move the paints over. So yes, so it was always a way to still work and work with the children and make sure they had what they had. And I think that's probably why each one of them are creatives, in their own way, and I think it was because they were exposed to the art, aspect of how I kind of moved and grooved, in each of their own little ways. It wasn't all visual painting and that sort of thing, but they were all very creative.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they saw you being creative, and we also talk about this a lot, how important it is for your children to know who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it
as
is
a
so
woman,
true. It
as
is
an
so true.
artist.
Yes.
And it gives them permission to see themselves in their own identities, for their own visions, and their own the pursuit of their own dreams, and how they do that while being many things.
Exactly. And that was so important to me, that they do pursue their own dreams, and how can I help them? How can I find out? Like, acting wasn't necessarily his dream, what I'm saying? But you're starting to like it? Okay, let's move it on here.
Yeah.
Jamila, writing, creating that sort of stories, loving YA was her thing, she just loved books. She loved to read. She loved movies. She was always watching television. So it was a natural for her to move in that area creatively. Khalid as well. He was sort of like grandfather to a degree, because he was the youngest and everybody was already pursuing their careers in that way. But he found his way, and managing, because he manages me now, you know what I mean, as far as my art career, making sure everything is
wonderful.
just, where it needs to be, and, giving me my prep and what I should say, not say, what, where, what don't, what to do, and, pricing on things, getting my work in areas that I might not have had access to, that he does, that he was able to, kind of usher me into. And I would say Jamila and Michael as well, you know what I'm saying? Because they knew I was art and that was my passion, they also supported me in that way, where my artwork was on different sets. And so, it was just a beautiful kind of union there that we all had together artistically, but each in our own way, in our own avenue of how we pursued it, and it keeps changing and growing as they keep growing, as I keep growing, because even now doing what I do and moving into the next season of my life as I'm trying to pursue my career again, reignite certain areas of it, and seeing what's in front of me, what I can do, and working with that, as well as, lupus sort of throws a interesting kind of wrench into the works, you know what I mean, as far as how I can work and when I can work. And
So can we talk about how lupus has impacted you and your family as a mom, and just like how does that show up for those that don't know?
And how old were you when you found out you had lupus?
I know. We have to do math again. Okay. But 1997 is when I was diagnosed with lupus. And then it was, awfully impactful for the family because, number one, we didn't know anything about lupus or what it was. And I was very fortunate to have a doctor who was able to diagnose me quickly because it also mimics other kind of autoimmune, conditions. And I was able to find out, and it was a rough go of it for quite a while, and I don't know. It's like you manage things the best way you can. I feel horrible most days, I was feeling, but you have to still show up. So I would. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sometimes you would have to, fake it. You know what I mean? Because you don't want your kids to see you suffer. You don't want them to know how much pain you're in or what you're going through. So I think Mike got his acting chops from me, actually, because sort of, there's, as a parent, there's certain things that you sacrifice and you do so that your children don't feel the impact of what you have to go through and do, because they're very empathetic. Is that the right word? And you just don't want them to see you in a certain kind of space or in not feeling good. So it was very rough, trying to get through that.
I also have an autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And so I was wondering, what age were they when you decided to share? I know for me, I feel the same way you do. Like, I'm literally tired and exhausted. Now you're gonna make me cry. Every single day.
I know,
and
right.
You feel so bad because you're like, I noticed, like, within the last couple of years, I've been, like, really sick. And I feel like I'm always tired.
Right.
And so I feel like lately my kids have been coming into my room, and I feel so guilty about it because I'm always in the bed.
In the bed.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I'm
always
tired.
laying down in the bed. Exactly.
And I'm like, is this going to be their memory of me? Like, their mom being in the bed, and like the amount of children that I have, I think has taken an impact on like my physical health.
Okay.
And so with my first child, it really didn't affect me that much.
Right.
And I was always outside, and so like I'll make jokes and make up excuses and say stuff to people all the time, like, yes, my husband makes breakfast for me, but it's because I'm sick.
Right.
It's because I like physically cannot get up. And so I think I had to start telling my children that I don't feel good, because I didn't want them to think I don't want to play with them. That mommy's like not lazy, but do you know what I mean? Like, she's just in her room watching TV, but it's like I had to start having them like come into the room with me, get in the bed with me. And like, I'm homeschooling them sometimes in the bed, and we're reading, like with my top, like 4-year-old, we'll do school in the bed. And like my oldest now, she understands, and she doesn't take it personal. She'll just come and be like, Mom, are you okay? Right. But I think for me, I don't know for you, like I had to start involving them so that they, number one, have that level of empathy and understand that everyone, I call them like invisible diseases, because I think like, if someone's going through cancer and they lose their hair, people automatically are empathetic and they're like, oh, you're not well. But to your point, when you're acting and you show up and you do your hair, people don't know that like you're in pain and that you don't feel good. So for them, I had to start involving them because I felt so guilty. Like I didn't want them to not understand why I couldn't like get up to play with them or make them breakfast anymore, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, so at that point once I was diagnosed, I think they were old enough to be able to be called into the picture to know what was happening and what was going on. You know, Khalid is probably the youngest, you know, so he was, you know, he might not have understood all of the ins and outs of it, but I had to stop working, you know, so I was home mostly, you know, which allowed me honestly to go on auditions and that sort of thing, you know what I mean? So it was an interesting kind of caveat, you know, for me having lupus and not being able to work, but then, you know, driving to New York was like back and forth from New Jersey. That was not the easiest. And then you're halfway through the tunnel and all of a sudden, can you come back over to, they want to see a callback. So you got to turn around and go back into the city. But I do know it's, right?
I know that life. Yeah.
So it is difficult, you know, but I just think that having them involved and then me having such major downs, major incidences that they had to be involved. They had to know what was going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was just, you know, this is what's happening. And then constantly reassuring them, you know, that I'm not going to, you know, kick the bucket or what have you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because when I was first diagnosed with lupus, I had never even heard of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know. And then, of course, what do? We go online and we see and we start looking it up. Oh, my gosh. And they were like, you know, usually people live from 5 to 10 years or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Or people say, oh, yeah, I know somebody with lupus and blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, how they doing? Well,
Yeah.
they, you know, they transitioned about 3 years ago. I'm like, so every story I was hearing was like not very good and positive. So it was like a little rough for me to get through in that way. But I do think that because they were involved and they knew what was going on, I think their level of empathy has grown and that sort of thing for them as people and how they feel about, you know, their compassion level and that sort of thing. Yeah. And they always, you know, were very helpful to me. And, you know, do you need this? Do you need that? You know, and being there, not being as troublesome as they maybe could have been.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Had they known I was struggling the way I was struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I answer the question?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, you
Okay.
did.
It's funny too, as you were talking about Khalid and helping you now as an artist.
Right.
It sounds like, I mean, obviously in our 30s we start to parent our parents a little bit. But do you feel like, you know, once they learned that you had lupus, and even as kids, you feel like they were kind of parenting you in ways, trying to take care of you?
Oh yes, definitely. You know, just Mom, why don't you rest? Why are you doing that? Why are you know, what have you? And I understood, but there, you know, sometimes if you got to do some things, you know what I mean, or whatever. You know, idealistically, yes, that resting would sound so great right about now, but you know. But you just keep pushing on. And I think them seeing me push, them seeing me, you know,
Show up.
go through and show up, I think that's what makes them, their work ethic at this point in time in their lives is so strong and so, you know, so pointed, because they said, oh, she went through that. We've seen, you know, going through difficult things, you know what I mean? And, you know, they show up.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
They show up.
I love it.
Did I cut you off when you were about
No,
to say something?
I was asking her about her art
Oh, okay. Yeah.
to this
Sorry.
day, current day.
Oh, to this current day.
Yes.
So now I'm trying to get my my sort of things together for, I started a company called Moon and River, and it's a home styling company, and it's going to encompass a lot of my my artistry in certain ways, and then I also just I take commissions and I do paintings, you know, as well, you know, along with that. So it's kind of a twosome kind of situation. But, you know, I'm really excited about the future and moving forward into, you know, a new realm of my art and creating. And it's my thought process and my ideas, because now that you don't have the household to take care of in that way, you can be a little bit more creative, you know, with your thought process and the things that you're getting ready to do and what you want to develop, you know, and the research of art, because a lot of people see the work and they see it's the final process or the final product of what you're doing, but not understanding the whole process that you have to go through to get to that point. You know, the research, you know what I mean, and the inspiration and, you know, the colors and how you're going to put this, you know, it is a whole process to get to that end point.
What? Because you have a daughter as well. Now you have 2 grandchildren.
Yes.
Are they from your daughter or
My daughter?
Okay. So what? Like when you're looking at her as a mom, right? And
Right.
you're looking at your life now. What would be like the biggest advice you would give her, or any woman who's starting off their motherhood journey? Like, what is the biggest lesson you think that you've learned now, especially now that you're on what is this it's like I feel like there's like we have these different stages of life. So now
Right.
you're in this
Right.
new stage where you're,
Right.
as you said, you're like, my kids are grown, I can focus on me.
Right.
When you think about your life and as a mom in general, like what is something that a piece of advice you would give, or just something you wish that you would have known that you know now?
That you have to take time for yourself. You cannot put everything into, you know, it sounds into your children.
No.
but
No,
but what I'm saying,
say it.
you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to, but you have to reserve something for you. It's almost like when you were younger and they used to always say, you know, yeah, you got a paycheck, whatever, but you make sure you take $10 and you put it over there in the bank. You have to take a little bit of what's happening with you and you for yourself. And you take a trip, or you go to the spa, you nurture yourself in a certain way. I did not do that as much as I wish I had, you know. So I think that, and there is, I think, from people being raised or born around the 50s and that sort of thing, from older mothers. My mother was like 35, and back then that was like a geriatric birth. But it's so horrible
still
to
say
say,
that.
right?
Yeah.
I had my baby at my last child at 36, and they acted like I was 400 years old. Now you know this is a geriatric pregnancy, and I'm like, child, how you think I got pregnant? I'm fine.
Okay. I'm like, Jesus.
I had my second right before my 40th birthday.
Yeah.
What?
Sure did.
I am loving
Yes.
this. I'm loving this. And it's just, you know, parents back then were doing a different kind of thing. It was a different kind of dance.
Yeah.
When it came to raising children in the family. And, you know, it wasn't about you at all. You know, they would sacrifice, they would do what they had to do, blah, 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 blah. But I think that now that I've grown and I've seen both ends of it, that you have to sort of truly, you know, you have to take time to also pursue your inner passion and whatever that might be, you know, other than, you know.
No, I feel like it's very
Parenting.
inspirational, especially like for our mothers. Like my mom, she devoted her life to us.
Right.
And she's also a visual artist. She can paint really well. And my oldest daughter can, and she clearly got it from my mom because I
Right.
cannot. But just hearing you, and I feel like I'm going to make sure my mom listens to this episode, because I'm always telling her, like, Mom, you still can paint. Like, you should sell your artwork.
Yes.
She's so amazing. But I think, to your point, like, she was, because she was born in, you know, in the 50s, and she feels
Right.
like, well, I'm just going to be a grandma. And I'm like, no, you can still like pursue your art. Like, you're still here. So
Exactly.
I think that's incredibly inspirational.
It is,
Yeah.
and we love it. I mean, we love the grandparent, you know, hood and that sort of thing. It's such a different experience, but you know, I'm just happy that I have this time now, and I can reflect back on saying, "Listen, Jamila, you know, you have to you have to rest. You have to take time for yourself. Go out with your friends,
Yeah.
you know, and make the balance of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You tell your husband, yeah, you can have a play date too. Right. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that it's balanced, because you know you have to balance these things in a family, what have you, that each person doesn't feel like one is being overwrought, or you know, all of everything, because you know it's never 50-50 when it comes to parenting, especially with women. We just have to do certain things that men are not built to do. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And hopefully I won't get, you know,
No, you won't.
so many letters.
No, we're not going to read them because we
Okay,
agree.
good.
Right, 'cause we agree.
We agree.
Straight
you
to
know,
straight to the shredder.
Right.
With those.
And then you have to. So then you it's almost like you have to add that into the equation, that you do more than 50, and then therefore you need to take like a little percentage over to the side for yourself. in
Put
that
your
way.
little $10 away.
Put your $10
That's
away.
right.
Exactly.
Honestly, I think you are the first mom and guest we've had that has been in this stage of life.
Okay.
That's not our moms.
That's not
right.
our moms, right?
Simone, we had Simone Smith, but Mama Donna, you are the age of our mamas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
but so there's, I'm like, this is so inspiring because your journey and learning more about you through this episode is truly, your artist spirit has kept you alive.
Yes.
Correct. Thank you for seeing that.
It
yes.
has, because against all odds for your diagnosis,
Right.
through everything that you've had to overcome, raising 3 successful children, and still being connected back to the root of who you are, and still honoring and pursuing that actively at this stage is what a gift. What a source of inspiration. Like, I have goosebumps thinking about the mom who's going to listen to this that felt like her prime of what she could offer this world for herself and others is over because now she's a grandma, or she was sick, or she's not as healthy as she was. Like, this is going to be so inspiring for so many women. Like, I'm just sitting here being like, wait a second. You mean to tell me in my 70s I could just go make an album again and
Yes,
go do a
you
residency?
can.
somewhere?
Absolutely.
And I know this in my mind,
But the
I'm
actual
seeing it. I'm
yes.
seeing
Yeah.
it in
Yes.
real time, and that is a gift for
I
all
agree.
of us.
Oh, I
Seeing
am
it
so glad.
in real time with cute loafers, tights.
Come on.
Listen, we had a
I got
loafer
these beautiful
connection.
eyes and lashes. Okay, we're not.
I just walked in. I said, "You have
taking it.
loafers?" And we had a loafer connection. Talking about all our loafers.
Loafers,
Yes.
yes.
Listen, I'm gonna make a loafer. I'm gonna make some loafers line one day. I'm gonna send you some.
Thank
I'm saying
you.
it. Now I have to actively do it now.
Yes.
But yes, you can model.
We can
for me.
model. We can do our foot modeling. Yes.
Love
Yes.
it. You'll have 4-year-old Tata and 70-year-old
Yes.
Mama Donna.
Yes, because loafers are for everyone,
They
honey.
absolutely
Yes,
forever.
100%. I was like, okay, they're back. And they're making them a little chunky, okay, so I can get a little stylish with
Yes.
it, you know. No, it is. I'm glad, and that's why I was happy to be able to come, you know, hoping that I could inspire, you know, mothers and grandmothers, you know, to move forward, because there is so much that we still have to give, and that we kind of held back a little bit, you know, as we were going through all these things, you know what I mean? So now that we can, you know,
Reclaim your time.
reclaim. Oh, I love that when they say that. I'm reclaiming my time. Yes, exactly. And just move forward with it. And it's
Yeah.
just such an honor. I'm glad that I'm able to do it, you know, because also with lupus, it is very debilitating and that sort of thing. You know, I'm usually with a cane, you know, I'm usually in pain, you know, and, you know, your hands, you know, arthritis, whatever. But even through all of that, you can still create. You can still, you know, if it's making peach cobbler or whatever, or cake, whatever is your passion, you know, just keep moving towards that end. And right now there's so many things that are going on with, you know, with supplements and medical discoveries and things that are helping us be healthier, because there was that whole period of time when, you know, there are things that are like degenerating us, you know what I'm saying? And now we're learning more, you know, about certain diets, you know, trying to go towards more vegan, whatever you do.
Yeah.
But there's so much information out there now to help us feel better longer.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. So now that you feel better longer, you can now pursue those dreams that you know, kind of deferred for a little bit.
And another thing that I'm learning is let your children see what you love.
Yeah.
Let them
Yes.
be a part of it. Let them see you doing it, however you're doing it.
Yes.
And not simply because yours became artists,
Yeah.
but also even just them, the joy that they have seeing you now stepping back into that and flourishing. And it's just really beautiful.
Oh, I'm glad. And that is one of the things that I do look at that I did not do, that I wish I had done more, was to be more forthcoming with my feelings about what I was going through at the time, as opposed to trying to shield them so much from things, you know,
Yeah.
giving them that credit that they could take it, they could handle it. You know, you think that, oh, you know, I don't want to tell them this is going to upset them, what have you, but they're strong and they can take it. And I didn't know that, you know, but I know it now, you know, and so now I do take the opportunity to let them know, you know, if I did anything that wasn't, you know, that you thought was a little weird or whatever, if I had known better, I would have done better.
Yeah.
But just to let them know that I was trying my best, but, you know, I just wish and now I'm telling them more. I'm giving them more stuff. Oh, Mom, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know you did that. I didn't know that's how that went or whatever. There's so much that, I left out, that they just didn't know. And so now I'm working on, letting them get a peek a little bit more into who I was before I became,
Their mama.
That's so beautiful.
Yes.
I think, to piggyback off of Melanie, when I look at you, I just think about you literally are a walking embodiment of what it means to live in your purpose. And I always say, like, what we make money from is not always going to necessarily be our purpose in this world, but your purpose to me is to create. And you are clearly an artist, and just as you were saying, like, when you were talking about cooking, I'm like, that's so funny, because I feel me and my best friend Nalo, we're the same way. Like, we both create, but there's been moments where we've had to just like solely focus on motherhood. But then it's like, I'm gonna make this best banana bread, and where I'm gonna put this love into this, or like I'm gonna create with my children. But I think that they feel that. You just can feel the energy of someone who is literally walking in their purpose, regardless of what they're getting from it, because that means you're living in your light, and people can feel that energy. And I think that's why your children are successful, and they're an embodiment of you, because they always felt that. Whether you spoke it out loud or not, you were living it in your everyday actions. So
I thank you so much for that.
And they're an embodiment of love.
Yes.
Like, part of the reason I wanted you to come here too is like, you have 3 children who like show up for each other and love each other and show up for you. And that is visible. And that, wanting to raise children like that, is really important.
Yes. And although I just met the two of you, I feel like, you definitely would be in my tribe. You know what I'm saying? And I know that your intent is there, and you have the knowledge, and you seek out knowledge on how to do it better. And I think that's part of the journey as well. You have to seek it out. You have to,
and create it.
And create it.
And create the platform to be able to talk about it.
That's why this is so beautiful, the Mother's Den. When I said, okay, I'm so proud of y'all for doing this, because it's so needed. Because motherhood is such a specific thing that takes specific, knowledge and direction. And what we do is, we created civilization.
Hello.
Continuously.
Civilization, life.
and we did that.
We did
that.
As in we. No.
I'm just saying, we started out, from what I understand, what I've been studying, it's like the female gene was the first, and the male gene came from the female gene.
And it's still like that now in the womb.
We started, and that's a lot. We have a lot on our shoulders, and we have done some wonderful things.
Absolutely.
And I am so proud of you. I really am.
Thank you.
And I'm so honored that you had me.
And we're proud of you.
Yes, and we're honored
Thank
that you
you.
shared your time with us.
Yes, thank you so
1,000%.
much.
Thank you.
It's my honor.
Okay, so Moon and River.
Yes.
Yes.
When will we be able to shop Moon and River?
Hopefully around the spring of this year.
Yes.
Time is going so quickly.
Yes, so quickly.
But I will definitely, make sure you all have all the information
Yes,
that I
please.
don't have on the tip of my tongue right now.
We'll get copied on the
We'll
phone.
be here.
Yes,
We'll be ready.
exactly.
We'll be ready.
Okay, perfect.
Well, thank you so much for coming up here.
Thank you.
Mama's Den
I'm loving
fam, y'all can follow us at the Mama's Den podcast. You want folks to follow you?
Yes.
You want?
Yes.
You say it, because I know there's an underscore in there.
DJ_creative.
With a K.
KREE, the number 8, TIVE.
Okay.
Follow
Come
her
on,
and
cute.
learn more about her art and her grown babies. And send us love notes. Y'all know the drill. Podcasts with an S at blacklove.com. And check us out next week for a new Mama's Den.
Yes.
Lovely.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you much. All right.